So this video is for the bonus section, which is 4.5 Objective 2. This is purely bonus. This is something that you will be taught to do in Math 60. So it's if you're looking for a little bit of a challenge and you want something new to do, then feel free to watch this video and give it a go. So what this is that we are going to be dividing polynomials by polynomials. And so instead of just saying, okay, every term in the numerator is going to be divided by that monomial, then what we have to do is divide something like a polynomial into another polynomial. And luckily there's these nice steps that you can follow when doing it. So here's a worked through example. So step one is you're going to write the problem as if you're dividing whole numbers. So what that means by dividing whole numbers is like if I was going to take 387 and divide it by 6, let's say. That's writing the question. And actually the process is identical. So if you were trying to divide with numbers, maybe we should look at that first. It's a little bit harder actually, but what you're trying to do is divide 6 into each of the numbers in turn. So you're dividing it into the hundreds first. Now the 6 doesn't divide into the 3, so we actually go into the 38. So we say 6 times what would give me 38? Well, it doesn't, it goes into 36. So what we do is we take the dividend. So when you're looking at this, this is called the dividend, and this is the divisor. And then the answer up here is your quotient. And then way down here, you'll get your remainder. Okay, so in this process, what you're doing is you're taking your dividend and dividing by your divisor. So you try to divide 3 by 6, it won't go. So you have to go into 38. Now it doesn't go into 38, but it does go into 36. So now you take this quotient and you multiply it by your divisor. So you get 6 times 6, and then you write that here and you get 36. And then you just subtract. And then you can't go into 2, but you can go into 27. So then you say, what do I multiply 6 by to go into 27? Well, it would be 4. And then you take that 6 and you multiply it by the 4, and you get 24. And then you get a remainder of 3. This is the process of long division. And the answer would be that when you divide 387 by 6, you get 64 and 3 that still needs to get divided by 6. In other words, you get 64.5. Okay, another way of saying that is 387 would equal 6 times 64 plus the remainder of 3. So this is called a division statement, but it's what you're doing. You're actually solving what 387 is divided by 6, and you're doing it in exact terms. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do this whole process, but we're going to do it with a polynomial instead. So step number 1 is write the problem as if dividing whole numbers. So we would take this question, 2k squared plus 17k plus 30 divided by k plus 6, and we'd write it as a long division. You want to make sure that both polynomials are written in descending orders of power. So you want to make sure your divisor and your dividend are descending orders of power, and you want to make sure there's no missing terms. If this had said 2k squared plus 30, we're missing a k term. So what you'd have to do if that was the case is insert a ghost term, I call it. So it's kind of like a placeholder, because as you divide, you're going to have to make sure you go down in descending orders of power. So if that ever happens, just make sure you put in a ghost term, but this one's okay. Step 2 is the actual division process. So it says divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor and write the result above the division line above the matching term. So what we're going to do in step 2, so this was step 1. Step 1, write it as a division question. Step 2 is that we're going to take the first term in the divisor, so that 2k squared, and we're going to divide it by the first term in the dividend, so k. That gives us 2k. We take that and we write it up here in the quotient. Then what you're going to do is take that 2k and you're going to multiply it by the divisor. So you're going to multiply that 2k by the k plus 6 to get this line here. So that gives us 2k squared plus 12k, and then we're going to subtract. So 2k squared minus 2k squared goes away, and the whole point of this is that you get rid of a term at a time. And then 17k minus 12k is 5k. So now you need more to go into, so now we bring down the 30. So then you repeat the process. You say 5k divided by 5. So you take your number in your new dividend and you divide it by the divisor, and you get 5. And then you take that and you divide it multiply it by the divisor, and you get 5k plus 30, and then you subtract, and this time we get 0. So again, make sure I talk through the steps. Step 1, write it as a division problem. Step 2, divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor. Write the result above. Multiply the answer, so what you wrote above, the quotient, by the divisor, and then you subtract, and then you pull down the next term and repeat. So let's see if we can get this straight. So step 3 was multiply, step 4 was subtract. So this would be step 3, where we multiplied, and then this would be step 4, where we subtracted, and then step 5 is you pull down the next term, and then you repeat, right? And so then the next thing is that you do the same thing. Go back to step 2, multiply the dividend by the divisor, multiply that quotient by the divisor, and then you subtract and repeat and repeat and repeat. So let's try another one. So if I go to a whiteboard, I just need a clear screen. Okay, let's pick a random question from your textbook that we can work through. So for example, I'll pick an even number. I'll go back to a green pen. And let's pick something like, and I'm just gonna make this a lined background. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to pick some random questions. So I'm going to pick number 18 in your section. So it says y squared plus 3y minus 18 is getting divided by y plus 6. So step number 1, we're going to write this as a division question. So I'm going to go like this, and lined paper works really nicely for this. So we're going to put y plus 6 as my divisor. Y squared plus 3y minus 18 is going to be my dividend. Step number 1. Step number 2, you're going to take the first term of your divisor and divide it by the first term in your dividend. So you've got y squared divided by y, which gives you y. And so you're going to write the y above the matching term. Then you're going to take that y and you're going to multiply it by your divisor. So that's going to give me y squared plus 6y, and then you're going to subtract. So y squared minus y squared is gone. 3y minus 6y is negative 3y. And then you pull down. And then we repeat. You're going to divide the negative 3y by the first term in the divisor, so by the y, and you get negative 3. Then you're going to multiply that by the divisor, and you get negative 3y minus 18, and then you subtract. Negative 3y, take away negative 3y is 0y. Negative 18, take away negative 18 is 0. So my quotient, oh, I almost forgot. And you'll know you didn't do it, right? I forgot to write the minus 3 up here because this is my quotient. This is my answer. And so what happened is when I divided y plus 6, when I divided y squared plus 3y minus 18 by y plus 6, I got y minus 3 and no remainder. It went in cleanly. Let's do one more, one that I know doesn't go in so cleanly. So let's pick number 24 in your textbook. So we're going to go x squared plus 11x plus 16 getting divided by x plus 8. So again, I write it as a division question. And I've got x squared plus 11x plus 16, double checking that they go in descending orders of power, getting divided by x plus 8. And then I repeat the work. So I ask myself, you can do it, I've been doing it all the way along, that I go x squared divided by x to get x, but you can also ask yourself, what do I multiply x by to make it x squared? It's the same thought process. But regardless, you're going to take that and multiply it by the x plus 8, because you want to get rid of this first term. So you get x squared plus 8x, and then you subtract. X squared minus x squared is gone. 11x minus 8x gives you 3x, and then you bring down the next term. Then you repeat. So I'm going to go 3x divided by x gives me 3. I'm not going to forget to write it up here. I'm going to multiply that by my divisor, and I get 3x plus 24. And then I'm going to subtract. So I get 3x minus 3x is gone, and I get 16 minus 24 is negative 8. So I didn't get a remainder of 0, and all that means is that when I divided x squared plus 11x plus 16 by x plus 8, I got x plus 3, but I had a remainder of 8 that still needed to get divided by x plus 8. Or I could say that x squared plus 11x plus 16 is equal to x plus 8 times x plus 3 minus 8. Just like I could have done this one and said y squared plus 3y minus 18 equals y minus 3 times y plus 6. And that's long division. So the only thing they can do to make it more complicated is put more terms in, but then you're just doing it more and more and more. Have fun with it.